So Imagine PhD is another valuable resource for structuring the career exploration process. It's going to cover a lot of the same territory as the PhD career training platform in terms of supporting you through various stages of career planning and job searching, but it also has some unique features that I want to highlight today. The most important being that this is a tool specifically designed for humanities and social sciences PhDs and postdocs. So it's tailored to the skills and interests of that demographic, broad though it may be. And while the PhD career training platform certainly encourages things like self-assessment and researching potential career paths, Imagine PhD has some built-in tools to actually facilitate that work in a really concrete way that I think is helpful. So this is a resource that was developed by the Graduate Career Consortium, which is an organization of career professionals working with grad students and postdocs across the US and Canada. It was created with input from over 50 institutions, you can see them here, who really tried to capture the full range of career aspirations among humanities and social sciences PhDs and postdocs. So there's a lot of rich data that went into building Imagine PhD. The way that it's structured is that it breaks down career decision-making into 4 iterative steps. These are going to look familiar. They're similar to the 4 steps in the PhD career training platform. So it's going to start with self-assessment and specifically assessing your career-related skills, interests, and values. Then it's going to help you explore career paths that align with those skills, interests, and values. It'll help you narrow your options through things like networking, informational interviews, skill building in the fields that you're interested in. And finally, there are tools to help you map out next steps for career and professional development success. So it's designed to help you be really strategic with your goal setting and to help you stay on track with managing and meeting your goals. As I mentioned, this is intended to be an iterative process, as Joseph said at the beginning, so this circle won't necessarily be a one and done. The assessments are also designed to be open-ended. So this isn't one of those career aptitude tests, if you've ever taken one of those, where you answer questions and it tells you, you should be an airline pilot. It's not going to tell you what to do. It's also not going to tell you something incredibly obvious like, hey, it looks like you're good at research. Of course you're good at research. You're postdocs, right? So instead, it's designed to give you tools to do some really strategic, targeted career exploration and to drill down into the very specific and unique combination of skills and interests that you have, which may be different than the skills and interests of other postdocs in your discipline. So there are a variety of resources and tools on the site to facilitate this work. The first is a series of assessment tools that are going to help you evaluate, as I said, your skills, interests, and values. And all 3 of those categories are really important, right? So I talk to a lot of PhDs and postdocs who are very focused on the skills side. They just want to know, what am I qualified to do? And that's part of it, certainly, but it's just as important to think about what you want to do, as Joseph was saying. So what you're going to find energizing and fulfilling. And that's important both in terms of job satisfaction, but also because employers want to hire people, not just who can do the job, but who are going to be excited to do the job and who demonstrate an alignment of interests and values with the organization. So really all 3 of those categories are worth considering. So I'll show you in a moment exactly what these assessments look like, but the idea is you take these assessments, and once you have the results, it's going to show how your skills, interests, and values align with different job families. And this is slightly different than industries. So these are kind of categories of jobs. There are 15 job families on the site. You can see them listed here. And to arrive at these, the Graduate Career Consortium basically examined a long list of alumni career placements among humanities and social sciences PhDs and then grouped them into these categories. So this is based on real data. It's obviously not comprehensive, so you can certainly do things outside of these job families, but this offers a really useful starting point for career exploration in terms of identifying the areas that are maybe most likely to align with your skills and interests as a humanities or social sciences postdoc. Note that faculty is one of the job families, so Imagine PhD is going to help you explore both academic and non-academic opportunities, same as the PhD career training platform. So when you get into the skills assessment, it's going to start by asking you to pick the job families that look most interesting to you. And you can choose up to 10, right? So you don't have to know yet what you want to do. You can also retake the assessment. So if your interests change later on and you develop, a new interest in a different job family, you can redo these assessments. And then it's going to show you a series of skills and ask you to rate your experience and ability with each skill from I have never done this to I can do this well. And there are about 50 skills that it's going to ask you to rank. So it's quite granular in a way that I actually find very useful. So it's going to help you move past these very general categories of, okay, I have research skills, I have communication skills, I have leadership skills. Those are categories of skills that most PhDs and postdocs have. But you want to start thinking more precisely about, for example, what type of communication you excel at or the types of research that you're most comfortable with. So really starting to drill down. So you're going to drag and drop these skills into these different boxes. And at the end, it just makes it really easy to visualize your strengths. My one recommendation is to not only pay attention to the I can do this well category on the far right. So things in the next category or two down are still strengths that you can leverage in your future career. So if you're looking at a job ad and they have, 15 bullet points listed of skills that they want their applicants to have, you don't have to be an absolute expert in all 15 of those areas, right? So anything in, many of these boxes is going to be, skills that you can leverage or areas for future skill development. So you can view the results of these assessments in a variety of ways. You can sort by categories. You can see at the top of the slide here, there's 7 different categories of skills. It's all color coded, which again, I think makes it very easy to visualize your particular strengths, but also to identify, areas for growth and development. And then from there, you'll be able to see how your responses compare to the skills that are typically prioritized in the job families that you selected. So this is the faculty category, just as an example. So you'll see your responses and then these expert ratings. So the expert ratings are set by professionals working in that field who were asked to rate, how important each skill is for success in that job family. And they do the same thing for interests. So, they ask these professionals, how likely is it that the following interests would be satisfied or fulfilled by work in that job family? So this is information coming directly from people working in that area. Now, if you notice some misaligned skills, so if it says you should really have a 4 in serving as a role model if you want to be, a teaching and focused faculty member and you only ranked yourself as a 2, that doesn't necessarily mean that job family isn't an option for you, right? So this isn't intended to, foreclose possibilities. Instead, you can use that information to identify skill development goals, right? Things that you might want to prioritize during your time at Penn in order to better position yourself for certain careers. So this is the skills assessment. You'll have the opportunity to do a similar assessment with interests and values as well. So for interest, it's going to ask you, how often you would want to do certain tasks in your future career. So how often do you want to meet new people, do public speaking, plan events? And then for values, it's going to ask you to rank how important various values are to you. So everything from work-life balance to feeling like you're making a difference with your work. And there are about 40 interests and 40 values. So again, it's quite granular, and that's going to help you make more kind of specific data-informed decisions about career paths that you might want to explore. So that's the assessment piece. It is one of the most popular features on the site, but there are other resources that are worth exploring as well on Imagine PhD. So within each of these 15 job families, you're going to find a range of resources broken down into these 4 categories: explore, connect, build skills, and apply. And again, the idea is to support you through the kind of full life cycle of career exploration and job searching. So I chose higher ed administration as the example because that's the field that I work in. It was a field I was interested in when I was doing my PhD. So if you go to the Explore section for higher ed administration, you're going to see a variety of resources. It's always going to start with these general tip sheets at the top. These are mostly focused on helping you develop professional communication skills. So here it's focusing on tips for informational interviews, which are one of the most powerful tools we have in terms of career exploration, just talking to people who work in the fields that you're interested in. It's going to have sample job descriptions, which is one of my favorite features because, again, these job families are quite broad. So within each category, it's going to help you start visualizing in a much more concrete, specific way the range of jobs that might be available. So within higher ed administration, you can be a career advisor, you can be an academic advisor, you can be a program manager, and it's going to help you see what each of those positions look like and help you narrow down which might be the best fit for you. You're also going to see these, alumni conversations, videos from alumni who are working in this career field. This is similar to the video library on the PhD career training platform. As Joseph was saying, this is a really easy way to do networking without having to do the networking. So learning more about job families that you're interested in without having to have those conversations yet. So I think those are really valuable tools. And you're also going to see these job simulations. Joseph is going to talk about more about this in a moment. But again, the idea there is to help you start visualize in a much more detailed way what the day-to-day life would look like in particular careers that you're interested in. So once you get to connect, it's really going to encourage you to start doing some targeted outreach. So this is about professional networking, how to use LinkedIn to reach out to people who might be helpful as you're learning about these career fields and trying to position yourself to maybe apply for jobs in this field. There's tips on pitching yourself, right? So when you go to have an informational interview with someone and they ask you that question, so tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this field, you'll know how to have a really clear, succinct response to that question. It's also going to have very specific ideas about groups that you can join to learn more about these job families or start positioning yourself for applications in this field. So LinkedIn groups, professional organizations that might be able to support you as you explore these career fields. In terms of building skills, it's going to connect you with with professional development and training opportunities. Again, this is really important, especially if you identified some misaligned skills during that initial assessment and there's areas where you want to continue to grow and develop. And these are going to be tailored to each of the job families. This is something that career services can obviously help with as well, especially in terms of recommending Penn-specific resources. So if you decide, I really need to get more experience doing public speaking, or I want to look for more leadership opportunities, you can also meet with us and we can help connect you with those kinds of opportunities on campus. But through Imagine PhD, you can find kind of national resources that are going to help you as well. And then finally, there's the apply piece, which I won't spend too much time on because I know today is supposed to be about exploration, but I did want to highlight it because I think this is a really useful approach to thinking about job applications. So rather than just offering general advice on how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, for each job family, you're going to see an analyzed job description. So it's sort of teaching you how to parse job ads, the kinds of keywords you want to be paying attention to, and then a resume and cover letter that have been tailored to that specific position. So you can start to understand what it means to tailor your job materials to different positions. So not just how to turn an academic CV into an industry resume, but also how your resume might look different depending on the type of position that you're applying for. So I would definitely circle back and look at these materials once you're at the application stage. So the final tool I want to highlight on Imagine PhD is the My Plan tool, which is designed to help you set kind of specific concrete goals for what you want to accomplish across a variety of categories. So you can see here there's career development, skill development, personal development, money, which is important. We can admit that money and funding matters. The degree completion piece is intended more for PhD students, but as postdocs, you may have goals of things you want to accomplish during the length of your postdoc. You may have conferences you want to apply to, articles you want to submit for publication. So kind of, academic goals there. And what I like about this site is that it doesn't try to pit these categories against each other. So the idea is to think broadly about what you want to accomplish across all of these domains in relation to your values and that initial values assessment that you did, and to try to integrate all of these goals into a single timeline so that you can make sure that you're making progress across all of them, and that your kind of personal and professional goals or your career and academic goals aren't in tension with each other. So the My Plan tool basically just gives you a space to write down your goals. You can see here a pre-populated list of potential goals that you can use as inspiration, but you can also add your own. You can edit these suggested goals. You'll have the option to sort of add your goals. You give it a title, give it a description, give it a date range. So I think it is really important to set specific deadlines for each of your goals. Research has shown that this is really essential in terms of follow through and accountability. So thinking about when you want to have each of these goals accomplished, you can set it up to send you reminders, which also is important for follow through and accountability. So ultimately, this tool is just meant to help you stay motivated and accomplish your goals. So once you've added, however many goals you want to add, you'll end up with something that looks like this, where you can see all of your various goals, personal, professional, academic, kind of all together. You listed here in chronological order. You can export this to a personal calendar. So if you want these deadlines sent to your GCal to make sure that you're sort of staying on track with all of your goals, there's a really easy way to do that. Again, this is just meant to help you sort of reflect and think very specifically about what you want to accomplish, during your time here at Penn, but also after, and to kind of walk you through the steps that need to happen to ultimately meet those goals. So as you're setting these goals, we do encourage you to make them SMART goals, SMART being an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So time-bound, again, setting a very specific deadline for each of those goals, making sure that it's really specific and not something abstract like, I want to get a job. That's great, but thinking about, specific jobs that you might be interested in and, the steps that might need to happen between now and then to accomplish that goal. The reason for this is that data suggests that those who make concrete plans using SMART goals are just much more likely to achieve those goals. The reason is that they'll have a clearer idea of how to achieve them. Again, Imagine PhD has a lot of information on this and helps to facilitate all of this. And it's going to help support you through these sort of 4 steps, right? Identifying goals, mapping out next steps toward completion, adding them to a timeline, holding yourself accountable through reminders, through sending it to a personal calendar, and all of that. So this is just one example of what SMART goal setting might look like. So let's say that your goal is to get a job in higher ed administration in the Philadelphia area by June 2025. These are some of the things that would need to happen between now and then to accomplish that goal. And notice that at each step, there is a specific deadline there to sort of keep you on track, to make sure that things don't get away from you. Again, I know you guys are very busy people. You have a lot of responsibilities. So trying to sort of stay on top of all of those pieces. Once you have your list of goals, this is something that you could potentially share with advisors or mentors or other people in your life who might be able to support you in working towards these goals. I know Joseph said you may not feel comfortable sharing this information with an advisor. That's true, but there may be other people in your life that you would want to share this with, because again, that can be important for accountability. So making other people aware of your goals is just an additional form of support. The other reason, we recommend this is that there has been some research done that shows that postdocs who have developed training plans with their advisors at the start of the fellowship reported greater satisfaction, published more papers, experienced fewer conflicts. Again, advisor-advisee relationships are complicated and sort of beyond the scope of today's presentation, but it's something worth thinking about. But more broadly, the logic behind this deliberate career planning is just that people who set and implement career-specific goals achieve greater career success and report greater career satisfaction. And that's obviously what we want for all of our advisees.